I'm Janelle, and in this BIMS Bite, I want to talk about endangered species. Numerous marine organisms are classified as endangered, threatened, or vulnerable. According to the International Union for Conservation of Nature, or the IUCN, Red List of Threatened Species. This includes a wide range of species such as marine mammals, fish, coral species, invertebrates, seabirds, and more. A specific number can change over time of what is endangered as new assessments are conducted and conservation statuses are updated frequently. So what actually makes a species endangered? A species facing high risk of extinction in its natural habitat and is characterized by significantly reduced population levels and can be vulnerable to various threats that jeopardizes its survival. Declaration of whether a species is endangered or not typically involves combination of scientific assessments, government, or international recognition. Scientific assessments usually include scientists, conservation biologists, and experts in various fields that study population trends, habitat conditions, and threats facing a particular species. They gather data on factors such as population size, reproductive rates, habitat loss, and more. And these scientific assessments provide the foundation for understanding of the species status and risk it faces. And then there are international organizations like the IUCN, which plays a critical role in assessing and categorizing species based on their extinction risk. The IUCN has a red list of threatened species, and it's a globally recognized system that evaluates and categorizes species into different threat categories, including endangered, critically endangered, vulnerable, and more. Then there are government agencies. In many countries, government agencies are responsible for designating and managing the conservation status of species within their borders. For example, in the United States, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service administers the Endangered Species Act, which lists and protects species that are at risk of extinction. These agencies use scientific data to make informed decisions about the status of species. There's also, at times, public input. In some cases, public input and participation are solicited before designating a species as endangered. This can involve public consultations, feedback from local communities, and engagement with stakeholders. So now that we know how species can be designated as endangered and what a few of those species are, what can actually cause endangerment? There are many, many, many different reasons that a species could become endangered, and I only have 5 minutes, so I'm only going to share a few. One includes overfishing. Overfishing can involve indiscriminate fishing methods such as trawling, excessive catches, and puts different marine species at risk of extinction, disrupting food chains and ecological niches. This could be overfishing of a targeted species, or it could be from bycatch, where you're collecting species that weren't targeted, but often get caught from these indiscriminate fishing methods. Another thing that can cause endangerment is pollution. Marine species are harmed by plastic contamination, oil spills, agricultural runoff, sewage, and other toxins. These pollutants directly affect the health of marine life and accumulate through food chains as well. The last topic I'll go into is climate change. Change in weather conditions, ocean acidification, and sea level rise have adverse effects on marine species. Migratory patterns can change, species must adapt to new environments, and coral reefs are at high risk of bleaching. Many species can't keep up with how fast things are changing, and this can also lead to endangerment. Polar bears are a really good example of this. The polar bear is classified as vulnerable on the IUCN Red List, and it is listed as threatened under the Endangered Species Act in the US. And they're under these categories because of the ongoing and potential loss of their sea ice habitat resulting from climate change. So now that we know a few causes of why we have endangered species, what are some conservation efforts that have been put in place? One is reducing plastic use or single-use plastics. Single-use plastics such as straws, bags, and bottles damage marine ecosystems. Various initiatives promote plastic reduction and recycling and consumer awareness and action to protect the oceans. Oftentimes, organisms like sea turtles will confuse a plastic bag for jellies or jellyfish in the ocean. Normally, sea turtles would eat these organisms, but if they can't tell the difference between a plastic bag and a jellyfish, they may be just consuming and choking on a plastic bag, and leads to them becoming endangered. Another conservation effort put in place are marine protected areas. Marine protected areas were established to protect marine habitats, preserve biodiversity, and foster sustainable fishing practices. More than 20,000 marine protected areas are designated globally. This is a map of marine protected areas around the world provided by the UN. Another effort put in place are sustainable fishing practices. Fishing practices aimed at preserving and replenishing fish stocks are critical in securing food supplies and protecting marine ecosystems. Various experts, governments, and advocacy groups promote sustainable fishing methods. So now that we know ways to conserve species, on ways to help endangered species, why is it so important? Well, marine biodiversity is essential for the well-being of our planet. In this presentation so far, I've showcased different endangered marine species, examined reasons for endangerment, and highlighted current efforts to protect them. And the whole point of that is to help with marine biodiversity. The list is never ending for the importance of marine biodiversity, but I'm only going to highlight a few reasons. One is that marine species provide food, income, employment, and play a crucial role in many economies. Coral reefs alone generate over $36 billion in economic value annually. Two, new marine species, compounds, and microbes are routinely discovered, providing opportunities for scientific advancement in medicine, biotechnology, and other fields. Three, marine species are critical in cleaning and regulating oceans and mitigating greenhouse gas emissions. Algae, plankton, and seaweed absorb millions of tons of carbon each year. Having marine biodiversity leads to healthy oceans. And so that's why it's so important to understand when species are becoming endangered, vulnerable, or threatened, because they may very well play a very important role in our ecosystem.